Hi, I'm Brett Ullman. Welcome to Parenting, Navigating Everything, the channel where we equip and empower you as a parent to navigate all aspects of parenting in this modern culture we live in today. Now, today's a bit of a different video. I just want to walk through 10 ways that you can make your church a safe place for those of us who struggle with mental health. Just some simple, practical thoughts on how we can remove some unnecessary barriers, how we can maybe show compassion, and just support people who are struggling in our churches and in our congregations. Number one, very simply, talk about it. Now, not on a Tuesday or a Saturday morning or youth or young adults. By the way, you can do it with all that, but I'm saying talk about it from the pulpit on a Sunday morning service. I think the tone gets set for the entire church by the Sunday morning messages. You also, for the most part, get everyone there on a Sunday. Now, if your pastor is not able to do a talk like this, then bring in a speaker, a counselor, or another leader who can do this for your church. I speak usually 1 or 2 times a month on Sunday mornings, speaking on mental health. It's my favorite conversation that I do. I will put a card above with a link to my entire talk on mental health, just in case you haven't seen it. Maybe you're a pastor who might want some tips on what to say to your congregation. Now, this is not also just about talking about it, but talking about it properly in a balance, right? It's giving your congregation a good education on mental illness and breaking down stigma associated with it as well. It's connecting our ancient faith with our modern world with a tough conversation like mental health. It's where you begin to foster a culture of compassion, mercy, and authenticity, maybe even vulnerability for your congregation. Number 2, check your language. There are some small changes in language that can really help those of us who struggle. In almost every church I go, the musical worship leader says, "Everyone rise," or "Please rise." If I have to stand during the music, I'm just trying to hold on to the pew in front of me and not fall over. I struggle with anxiety when I'm standing, especially in churches that are kind of, tiered down. I feel dizzy. So whether it's mental health struggles like me, maybe it's an exhausted young mom or dad, maybe it's an older person with a knee or a hip injury, or just anyone else with any physical struggles, it might be easier for them to just sit. So I encourage music worship leaders to just say something like this: "We are going to sing some songs today. However you want to worship today, you are free to do so. Stand, sit, kneel, hands raised or not." Just such a simple few words that acknowledge that some people might not be able to stand goes a long way to have people struggling just feel accepted in your community. Number 3, physical boundaries. Now, this might sound weird, but don't rope off pews. I get the reasons we do this, as it makes the audience look larger and it brings people to the front. I remember many services in churches and events I've been to that roped off the church. They would rope off like the last half of the section I sat in, and I would sit in the current back row, which was halfway down. But as people began to fill in, they would then remove the ropes, and suddenly I would find myself in the middle. As someone with mental health, I don't sit in the middle, I sit near the back. So what would I do? I would get up and I would leave, and I would usually not come back. Again, this is an unnecessary barrier that we can easily take away. The other week I was speaking on mental health, and the church asked if the ropes that they put out were okay. I actually said, "Can we take them away?" I just said they're an unnecessary thing, and they might actually, cause someone to not want to come. So I just said, let's be happy that the people are here and just let them sit wherever they want and wherever they're comfortable. I finished the talk, and a lady came up to me in tears afterwards and said that when she came in and saw all the ropes, she actually sat down and was just texting someone to come pick her up because she wanted to sit in the back because she doesn't feel good and didn't want to sit near the front. She then heard me asking the ropes be removed, and she sat in the very far back corner and said that she appreciated no ropes, as she was then able to have some less anxiety, and then she was able to enjoy the service. Both the last comment about letting people sit during worship and this one are actually just about listening. Actually listening with the intent to learn about the struggles people with mental health might have, and then getting rid of some of these unnecessary barriers. Number 4, turn the music down a little. I'm not saying you can't have music, and I'm not saying you can't have loud music. Just maybe turn it down a little bit. For those of us who struggle with anxiety, loud music can set us off. I was at a church last year that actually said from the front, if the music is too loud for you, we've set up some places for you to sit in the foyer, and there's a large TV with the lyrics on. What a great way to acknowledge that some people find the music loud and to make kind of an accommodation for those people. I really, really like that. Number 5, resource your people. Have good suggestions for psychologists, counselors, therapists, and the list goes on, posted on your website or somewhere where people can find them without having to speak to anyone in church leadership. Pastors, and I say this with all respect, should not be the gatekeepers of support. It should not be that you have to go talk to a pastor to find out if there are supports that are in your community. We are helping connect people with the services they might need both inside and outside the walls. Some people might not want to come to you due to stigma. So if you just post all those on a website, it frees people to go and find the help they need without talking to you. Number 6, educate your entire staff. I think that anyone who is on staff at a church should take a course called Mental Health First Aid. You could bring in someone even into your church or even do it for all the churches in the area. It's well worth the time for this. Number 7, host groups that can help people with not just mental health, but other issues. Groups like Celebrate Recovery, Freedom Sessions, AA, Divorce Care, Cancer Care, and other ones like mental health, like anxiety support groups. These can all help people with their different aspects of their healing journeys, no matter what they're struggling with. Number 8, many churches have a fund for people in need. We often think of this as for people who are struggling to put food on the table. But this could be for people struggling with mental health or other things. It's often called a compassion fund or something similar. This might also include being able to help some people with a discount on a few sessions of counseling. Counseling is expensive, and even to give people, a discounted amount for a few sessions would be a really great idea. Number 9, offer resources like physical book resources to your congregation. Here's an idea. Maybe set up a booth each week or even once a month where you have different resources on display. This could be all the ways that your church supports people with mental health. We already talked about counselors, and we talked about, different groups. Those could all be there, plus great books, websites, other local agencies. For someone struggling, to see something like this might be all they need to know that they are not alone and that they are in a church that cares for them. And then they can access whatever supports they need. And number 10, this might sound weird, but just have a walkthrough. To finish off, I would just encourage you to have a walk through all of your entire church, from parking lot, to where you'd sit down, to dropping off your kids or whatever it would be, and just see if there's any other unnecessary barriers or ways that you could assist people who are struggling. If you are a pastor or leader and looking to make your church a more safe place for people who struggle with mental health, I would encourage you to watch my talk on mental health. I'll put it above, as well as to buy this book. It's called Mental Health and the Church by Stephen, I'm always going to mess this up, Grekvich. I've also listed my top books on mental health on this video. I'll post it as well. It's going to be tagged in the card above. I'd love to hear if you think that there are some other ways that we could make people feel more welcome or safe in our churches. I'll talk to you soon.